Okay. Greetings. My name is BlazeLeeDragon, and today I want to talk about basically what the hell's going on with the world. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with people in general? Now, the thing that initiated this, people not being able to drive, is my wife was reading an article online. And in this article, she was talking about basically a mother who was at, I want to say it was at a Walmart. I have no idea the location. But point being is a mother was inside a store with her child, her little son. And I don't know how old the son was, because like I said, I'm just recalling this is about a week or two ago. And probably a week. I have no concept of time. And the son must have been maybe 3-ish. Well, he has toys and clothes of things that would be considered both male and female. And of course, in our society, I guess most people have an issue with this. You know, if you're a boy, you can't play with Barbies, you can't wear pink or dresses. You know, if you're a boy, you have to, act like a boy, is what essentially a lot of people are. Not everyone, but a lot of people are under this impression. Now, the reason this particular story got to me is it's bad enough that some people have an issue with men acting or dressing or doing things that a woman would do. But the fact of the matter is this guy apparently was walking by, and someone had asked about the child and asked if it was a boy or a girl because they weren't sure. And of course the mother was pretty obviously, hey, obviously this is my son, it's a boy. Even though, the reason that it was an issue is when they were going to the store, he wanted to bring something with them and she said no, so she settled for allowing him to wear a pink headband with a flower on it. And aside from that, I think he was in boys' clothes, he just had a pink headband with a flower on it. And of course, someone at the store had asked, is this a boy or a girl? And she, apparently got a little annoyed with that, but she's like, this is my son. And this other guy overhears it, and he walks up apparently and makes some sort of sarcastic, smart-ass comment about, that's a boy, and rips the headband off the kid's head, throws it into the cart, and apparently smacks the kid or something. I have no idea how hard the smack was, or if it was just like a tap on the head or something. And then he comments saying, "You'll thank me for it one day. He'll thank me for it one day," or something like that. And apparently made some sort of comment that if he grows up to be a faggot, he'll get shot and killed, or something along those lines. And like I said, I'm just paraphrasing the story of what my wife was reading and kind of recalled to me. But my point is, what the fuck? I mean, who does that? I mean, I guess there's a lot of people that do that, but I mean, who's going to walk up to somebody else's kid and lay their hands on somebody else's child? That infuriated the hell out of me. So the first issue I have and wants to know what's wrong with society is who in their right mind is going to walk up to somebody else's child and lay their hands on that child. That infuriates me right there. That alone tells me this person should have had harm done to him. Now, the next thing that agitates me about this is the double standard we live in today's society. That it's not okay for a guy to run around in pink or in a dress or something, or like little boys to play with Barbie dolls, or to wear makeup, whatever the case may be. But at the same time, a woman can run around in a guy's clothing and guy's pants, a football jersey, or whatever the case may be. They can get, wear guy's clothing even as a kid, or play with G.I. Joes or something like that, and that's not as bad. But, for a guy to do it is considered completely wrong. Let me give you a prime example. A woman puts on her boyfriend's or husband's pants or shirt and walks around the house, or goes to a men's store because they think it's more comfortable. And I do know women who've done that. Now, if a guy goes to a woman's store and buys women's pants or clothing or shirt or dress, or, walks around the house in his wife's shirt, nightgown, whatever the case may be, the world's coming to an end. This guy obviously must be homosexual or something along those lines, which that's the other thing. What's wrong with being homosexual or lesbian? Or bisexual, or whatever sexual preference an individual has. But of course, people are always being judgmental, so I don't understand this double standard. Now, in the case with this child here, it's not the guy's child. The kid's not hurting anyone. That's the kid's choice if he wants to wear, a pink headband with a flower on it. You know, he's just not hurting anyone. He's a little 3-year-old kid. He wears whatever he wants. Mother had no problem with it, so what's the issue? Now, the third issue I had with this whole situation was the fact that numerous people saw this and did nothing. They literally stood there, watched this strange man come up to this poor woman's child. She's there by herself with her son. Not only take something off of her child, but strike her child, regardless of how hard it is. I mean, how would you act? Parents out there, mother or father, you know, if you're there with your child, and for whatever reason, it doesn't even matter why, some stranger walks up and doesn't like what your child's doing, you know, and even if it's not something, like, I'm sure some of you might say, oh yeah, good for him. Good for him for doing that, for helping that child out so he doesn't, whatever. But other ones of you, like me, are going to be infuriated by the thought of doing that, period. So let's put it into perspective for, let's say, a kid's playing with football and it's a little boy, and, you know, he's wearing some sort of hat or something, like a baseball hat, and the guy gets agitated because he's wearing a baseball hat playing with a football, so he pulls the hat off his head and smacks him. You know, regardless, that right there, the physical action towards somebody else's child, not to mention trying to raise the other person's child, or just in general, I mean, you don't touch other people's kids, in my opinion. That's just wrong to me. So, yeah, what's wrong with society? What's wrong with this? And the fact that people are going to stand by and watch it happen. I believe it was Albert Einstein who says that the only thing that evil needs to exist in this world is for good men to do nothing. And too often we see that in today's society. People don't want to get involved. They don't want to do anything. They don't step up to protect each other or help each other out, you know, or you know, just anything. People just stood by and watched and let it happen. I know there was this one time that I had seen a security camera footage, and I can't remember what I was watching. I think it was something on YouTube. But basically what had happened is this guy had been stabbed 2 or 3 times in the stomach. So he is on the ground, bleeding, holding his stomach, and literally people are walking past him, offering him no help, not checking on him, just they keep walking. Nothing. And just, what the fuck? I mean, you see a guy on the ground holding his stomach, you can't say, are you okay? Do you need an ambulance, something? What has happened to society that this type of behavior is becoming more common? Now, there's plenty of exceptions. There's plenty of times where people go out of their way to help other people or to be nice or to be kind, etc. Another thing I'm reminded of, there's one little meme or whatever they're called on Facebook, and it has basically this tiny little baby bunny sitting on a guy's hands, and it says that you can judge the character of a man based upon how he treats those who can do nothing for him, or something along those lines. Once again, paraphrasing because I'm trying to remember, I'm driving. But that's a good point. It's like, how many times are people complete asses to people because they can't get anything out of them, you know? And how many times people are extra nice to someone they'd usually be mean to out of the possibility of getting something out of them? You know, I mean, there's tons of stories about that too, you know, just in general. It's just, it doesn't, my entire point of this, my entire point of my 8-minute spiel and complaint is, the world is the way it is based upon choice. It's the way that we as people choose to act and treat each other. And you're not going to see an instant change overnight, but you can start the change right now. Everyone watching this video, if you can, from this day forward, take one moment to do one thing of kindness, to do one thing to support a complete stranger just randomly. I mean, yes, there's a difference between someone taking advantage of you and you just being nice. You know, you see someone trying to cross the street, help them across the street. Someone trying to struggle with 3 or 4 groceries and a kid in one arm, help them carry their bags to their car. Something small. You know, when you're driving, you see someone trying to get over, they have their turn signal on. Let them over. Small things like that go a long way. This world can be changed for the better again, and people can stop being so stressed and depressed and angry and aggressive by you. You as a viewer, you as a watcher, spread that kindness. One kind act will be remembered and repeated. Just continue it like ripples in a pond. Take this moment now to say you are going to make a difference and make that choice. You know, it's not that hard. It doesn't take much, just a few seconds. You know, I mean, I had one guy walk up to me on the street a couple days ago, completely pissed drunk, reeked of alcohol. One of those individuals that seems unsavory on first appearance. They, you know, walk up and slurred speeched and seemed like one of those individuals that didn't, you know, pretty much finished high school, if that, and kind of worked his entire life. you know, scarred hands and everything else, and, you know, just one of those people that just one of your guys that just is a blue-collar worker, I guess. And he came up, started talking to me. Now, I could have freaked out, walked away, and told him to piss off, or whatever the case may be, but I stood there and talked to him. Got really close, uncomfortably close, but all I wanted to do was talk. And he was talking about all kinds of stuff, and just random. It didn't make much sense, but it seemed to make him happier to have someone just stand there and listen to him for a few minutes. It took, what, 5-10 minutes of my day. Whoop-de-doo. You know, just heard him out. You know, I had this other situation where me and my neighbor, and the neighbor's the one who initiated it, but I was out there too and helped him out as well. But there's a guy coming up the street in a wheelchair, and it was one of those electronic wheelchairs. So we called the police to kind of help escort him home, because he's, you know, in the middle of the street, swerving and stuff like that. We're worried he was going to get hit. So the neighbor called the police, and you can't really get the big chair in the police car and stuff like that, the police cruiser. So me and my neighbor, we walked this guy home, and the police escorted us to make sure he didn't get hit, tried to keep him off the street, help him get into his house. And my neighbor, you know, he's darker skinned and stuff like that, and this guy was making a lot of racial slurs towards him, but he was inebriated, so he kind of took it with a grain of salt and laughed, and he said it probably would have been different if the guy wasn't plastered. But I mean, the guy ended up being real cool with him in the long run. You know, after a couple of racial slurs and Tony ignoring it and just being nice and friendly with them, he helped him into the house, and then he actually said to him, and he's like, you know, you're welcome to come back into my house, but next time you come to my house, make sure you're not black. I mean, it's just, yeah, could it have been easy to get really agitated with this guy and be a prick with him and just, you know, tell him to piss off? Sure. Could we have let him keep going down the street unaided? Absolutely. But it didn't take that much time. That's all it cost us, was time. It wasn't money. We didn't put anything at risks. And like I said, he put up with all these racial slurs from this guy, his foul mouth, and still helped him out. You know, still willing to get him home, help him get into his house, everything else, and then we ended up leaving. Yeah, it's really easy. You know, sometimes the best reward for helping people is just the act of helping itself. I see a couple of these videos, and I'm going to be done here in a few minutes. This is 12 minutes of listening to me ramble is more than enough. You know, there's videos out here where people are creating these new fads and stuff like that. There's this guy, and he literally sees this man standing on the side of the road holding up a sign, gives him a ride to the store, buys him like $500 worth of clothing and a new backpack, everything else, and pays for a haircut and a shave, rents a hotel room for him for 2 days, and lets him shower and stuff, then takes him out to have a steak dinner. You know, it's just something small. I mean, granted, that's going to cost you money, and that's going to cost you a lot more time than a lot of people have. But little things go a long way. I mean, you see someone standing there asking for money, make a small gesture, a small donation, you know? Skip out on that pack of cigarettes or that soda, whatever the case may be. If you're well off, you got a couple extra bucks, help out your fellow man. Let's just, you know, start spreading that kindness again, so maybe people will be less agitated. Anyway, this is just my thoughts. Thanks for listening to me ramble on and prattle on, and hopefully it can make a difference. So, yeah, share the message. You know, usually I say, oh, thumbs up and comments. You know what? Don't even worry about that this time. Just share this message from this video is what I'm more concerned about. You know, get people out there to start helping each other and spread it like an infection to where the world is a good place again. I mean, because there's still a lot of good places out there, but we can fight against this, I don't know, acting like a prick or being a jerk or self-concerned attitude that seems to be spreading, unfortunately. When we can change it now, we can change it today. So, thanks for listening.